Trish, I know you're looking for the camera. Look on the bottom left-hand corner where it says mute and unmute. Stop video should be next to it, and you should be able to click on it, and it should work. Or I can do it that way, and it should work. There it is.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
I'm telling you, if I could be any more career savvy here, you know, tech savvy.
Well, awesome. Okay, so do you want me to share my screen, or do you want to share your screen and go through
I'm going to try. It's been a little while, so let me try this. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Yeah.
Trying to, can everybody see this?
Yes, we can.
Great. I can't see the questions, so
I'll let you know at the end when we have about like 5 minutes left. I'll let you know.
Great.
Awesome. So the floor is all yours. Go ahead, Trish.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Trish Wyderka. I'm a sourcer for an agency here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I'm also the database queen. And today is your lucky day because we're going to kick back to the 80s and we're going to call it Don't You Forget About Me. No, not the Breakfast Club. We're talking about existing data in your ATS or CRM. And for today's conversation purposes, we're going to use the word database to cover both. Does anybody remember this game? The criminal, the princess, the brain, the athlete, and the basket case? Well, we're not looking for these type of individuals. We're actually looking for qualified candidates for our positions, whether you're an agency, an RPO, or an internal company. And today in our database, we're going to learn in our database about ATS and CRM and how to utilize it, how to optimize the data and keep it current, and also what tricks and tools we can use, both free and paid, to enhance our data. So let's get started. I want you guys to wake up because you may not know this, but the ideal candidate could be in your database and you are missing those perfect candidates. In recruiting, we want to find ways to connect with our individuals for different opportunities to fill positions. And a lot of people forget about where leads are in our database. We have so many that we ultimately get overwhelmed. I know for me, I've put in 25,000 candidates since I've been here in 10 years, and I can't possibly remember all of them, but I know that there has been some hidden gems that we have missed just because during our searches, they're bypassed or we're just not paying attention to our data, and it's garbage in and garbage out is my motto. I want to avoid the headache of not being able to find these candidates. And how do I do that? Well, let's go and find out how we're going to do that today. Believe it or not, a lot of us have a lot of free time. Some people stand around and chat around the water cooler talking about basketball. Others take constant coffee breaks. But for me personally, I like to use a few minutes a day to just go through and look and see, hey, who haven't we touched in the last year or two? Did so-and-so move from one company to another? I couldn't find their phone number a year ago, and now I've learned a new tool or skill to be able to update their contact information. So I like to make it a practice to do it every day. It only takes me a few minutes. Now, what I like to do is I like to review my individual files to find common errors. And you're wondering, what are some common errors that I run into? Well, believe it or not, spelling errors. Sometimes one candidate will be put in as Bob, another one will be put in as Robert. And so you and your coworker up the way are putting the same person in and both of you are contacting him, and it looks like to the candidate that you're not paying attention because somebody already called me. And plus, if you're doing mail merges, the names are spelled inaccurately, and I can't tell you how many times people have misspelled the word Trish. So, you know, I have some examples. Individuals oftentimes change their names for various reasons, and I like to kind of keep up with their last name during reviews to see, you know, hey, Are they the same last name on LinkedIn? If you take the LinkedIn URL that's in your system and copy it, paste it, oftentimes they'll have the new last name for the individual, and I'm able to update with their new last name and keep our data fresh. Phone numbers entered inaccurately is one of my biggest pet peeve here. We all get in such a hurry when we're entering data that we forget to put numbers in. I mean, if I'm calling Susie at 867-530, I'm not sure what it is, and I don't have the bandwidth or the time to be able to look them up. Also, for those of you that use automatic phone dialers, it's going to miss the person and you won't know it's inaccurate because there's no way to really go in and look at hundreds of phone numbers that were called by the auto dialers. Also, another common error that I found is email addresses with extra punctuation marks, or they have like asterisks. For example, here, one that is a common mistake is jane@aol.com and then a period. That's definitely not going to get through. I see dollar signs and, you know, they copy them off of somewhere where they have parentheses and all that gets thrown in, and you won't be able to successfully have a good contact or a successful mail merge if you have these errors. Also, when you're doing a mail merge, I like to tell everyone to look and see if you have an email address in that spot, because if you don't have any emails, it's not a successful email and they're not going to hear from you, and it could be the perfect candidate. So, you know, while I'm thinking about other common mistakes, it's really interesting because there are people who have first initials, but they don't have like their full name. And just, you know, taking an extra second or two every day can really make a difference in keeping your database up to date. So let's take a look at some examples of other mistakes that I found in our database. So there'll be notes in the system, and I tell everyone to read the notes, right? So John's no longer at Shermer High School. He left in 1985. Well, that's great, but you know, somebody in your office keeps emailing him, and I don't know, did he retire? Did he get tired of the breakfast club on Saturdays and leave? Did he move to a new company? If you keep emailing the person, you're not going to get anywhere. It's like running in circles there. So that's one common mistake. Read the notes. I always read the notes. Oh, here's another one. Here's a phone number is disconnected. People keep calling disconnected phone numbers. I don't know about you, but the high probability of coming back to that disconnected phone number or that old office number is slim to none. But I mean, if you want to keep your fingers crossed and hope that it will work again, maybe you will eventually get back to them. And if you look at some of these, it says there's notes where they say like, don't mess with bull@gmail.com. The email is bad, yet your coworkers keep emailing these bad emails. And so in my office, I've established a procedure where you take out the old phone number and email, and as the researcher, I tell them to tag in my database, hey, research this. And every day I go through and I research phone numbers and emails through, you know, various methods. So right now I'm going to take a few questions just to take a little break and just to see, does anybody have any questions before we go on to the tricks and tools? I can't see the questions, but. Okay. Moving on. Tricks and tools, free and paid, you can use to enhance your data. I'm constantly staying up to date on the Facebook pages or SourceCon Academy or different, message boards and stuff where I can learn new things. But I am going to share with you some of my favorites. So the first one I have here is the LinkedIn search engine, or X-Ray. It's really great to use LinkedIn if you have it. That's my first go-to when I'm looking for candidates to update. Let's go look and see. So for example, Janet Ross was one of our candidates in the system, and she hadn't been updated in about 5 years. So I went and found out on LinkedIn that she's a regional manager at Western Canada, And oh, look, it's really great because her new work email address, if you'll notice, her address is inside of her LinkedIn profile. And I call that winning. It also tells where she's at now. Maybe she was in one city and she moved. So now I can take the information off of LinkedIn and update my database. Let's look at another example. For those of you that say, well, Trish, I don't have a LinkedIn account. That's okay. I X-rayed into LinkedIn and did a Boolean search with Janet Ross, with the regional manager in Edmonton. And I was able to find her information there very easily. And I can go in and look at the cache information. Also, for those that may not know this, but there's a lot of resumes attached to LinkedIn profiles. I've been tracking so far 869 of my candidates out of the 4,000 that I have found have had LinkedIn resumes attached to them. I could have downloaded easily and had their new email and phone number and parsed it into my system. So when I called them, it would be, you know, like a clean call, and then I would know what's going on with their current information in their career. So some other things that I like to find out is individuals change careers. I mean, one day they're being an ERP consultant, and then they're going to be a baker because that's been their dream job. Sometimes people retire, or unfortunately they pass away, and they sometimes have that annotated in their system, so then you can archive the candidate very easily. Don't forget to look for patents, publications, certifications, documents, and more. Those to me are like bonuses. I like to also look at the attached certificates and publications and whatnot, because if their name is R. Smith at such and such company, they'll usually have Rachel Smith in their certifications. I can therefore have her full name and be able to contact her with her name instead of calling her by an initial. Check out the information on the individual's contact section. So Matthew Lindsay was somebody that we were trying to get a hold of. He actually had his Indeed profile on there, which contained more data that was on his LinkedIn profile. So then I can update the resume section in my system. For those that are wondering, we use Bullhorn, so I'm able to parse these things in very easily, and hopefully you can with your system. Let's take a look at some other examples. So Kirthana Kumar was somebody that we needed to get a hold of, and it was great because his Twitter handle was on there, and now I can go ahead and send him some tweets and go and see who he's following. Maybe he's attending some conferences and he's talking about them on his Twitter account. So here's another one, Hamel Hussein. Now if you look, I don't know what his last name is until I dive into his contact information. And look at me, I can find his blogs and talks, and even his GitHub account, which may even have his resume attached to the repository section. Boolean is free. It's my favorite go-to. So sometimes I will take the individual's name out of the database, throw it into the Google search engine with the name of the company, and it pulls them up. Or I can take a phone number or an email, copy and paste it, and put it in the search engine. And I found resumes that way, or redirects to some other activities that the individual may be doing. There's a lot of people who have moonlighting as other careers, such as realtors, consulting. Sometimes they are in a rock band, and it gives their information about them on those specific sites. So let's check out Janet Gonzalez. She was actually an SAP consultant, and she is a realtor. I found her email address in our system. I copied and pasted it. And as you can see here, it took me to a mobile number and such, and I was able to contact her and have a conversation and talk about real estate while I'm also talking about an opportunity. Oh, for those of you that follow the Facebook pages, it's great because I don't know how many people wonder about how we can find contact information and information on individuals. But our favorite friend in the world, Dean Decosta, graciously has these Start Me pages where it is like Christmas in July. If you can't find something on here, it probably doesn't exist. It's free, and I love to go through and look at them. And I've provided all the links for everybody here to to check out contact information. So here's a sample of Dean's information. I mean, literally, I don't even think I've touched 25% of what he offers. But you can see that there's email tools, phone number, all the different sites. Look at that. They have Pipple, which I wrote an article about it. True People Search, my favorite. It's free. We have Fast People Search. I mean, the sky's the limit. You should be able to update phone numbers and emails in your system very easily. And for those that don't know, Susanna Fraser and I, our wonderful hackathon winner, we did a presentation roundtable at SourceCon, and we have some sheets where you can go through and download on the slide share about ways to find contact information. I love using these because there's Chrome extensions, there's some Boolean methods, and just really great tips and tools and tricks to be able to find contact information. Now, I don't know if anybody's heard of Google Chrome extensions, but for those that are new, there are so many and they are free. For example, Swordfish is great because it finds cell phone numbers and emails, addresses on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. There's a free and paid version, which is really great. Nymeria, I think, is still around. Lucia was good. That gives you some free credits, and it overlays on top of LinkedIn. I also use ZoomInfo Reach. We have ZoomInfo paid, but for those of you that have the ZoomInfo and you don't know about extension, it overlays on top of LinkedIn, where you can go through and pull up people very easily. So at this point, I just want to kind of go over some, to see if there's any questions or concerns. I know this is something like, it's probably pretty boring to people. I love to update the database. This year alone, I've updated 8,000 candidates with phone numbers and emails. I've been tracking in my database how I've been finding. A recruiter will call somebody one day, they can't get a hold of them, but they don't look at their LinkedIn profile where there is a new resume attached where you can download and update your system very easily. I think that's been like really just trying to get that message across to recruiters too. I know it's daunting to open up every LinkedIn profile, but that 1 minute of you opening it will help you be more successful in being able to contact that individual. Some other things I've noticed is that we've gone through and got rid of people we haven't gotten a hold of in the last 10 years. If you haven't called them in 10 years, I say 8 to 10 years, then you're probably not going to. The information is so old. So, I just know that for me, like I work at an agency, I believe the time that I spend on this is going to help our company with just the ROI and increasing. And, you just want to keep your eye on the prize and be a little different. I mean, I don't want you to put pixie dust on your sandwich because that might be gross, but I feel like if I take the time every day to do database cleanup and maintenance, it's going to just help us achieve more placements and to be able to have a good outreach ratio for when we're connecting with people.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Trish. There's one question before we get to Alan's session.
Okay.
This is for you. What would you recommend if you're recruiter retail and your only tool is Indeed?
What would I do if your only tool is Indeed? Well, yeah. You're keeping track of your candidates in Indeed, or that's the only thing you're using to find candidates?
They said that's the only tool to find. Yes.
Yeah. See, I just recently got paid versions within the last couple of years, but on Dean Decosta's list, there are free ways to find candidates. If you want to connect with me, I don't know who asked the question, but if you want to connect with me, I'll have a conversation with you and tell you how I did it for free before I started proving ROI on the paid versions.
Perfect.
I have a suggestion on that one.
Go ahead, Alan.
If you're local, if your client is local to where you work, go walk into the other stores. Go walk into a Starbucks. Go walk into a small a little takeout restaurant. Walk into a Subway. If you're looking for retail people, they are all challenged right now.
Yes. Yeah, for me, believe it or not, I have two guys that walk in my neighborhood. I talk to everybody. It's creepy, but there were actually 3 SAP consultants in my neighborhood, and I literally could go knock on their door. Now, I'm not doing that, but I just get so engaged and talk with them. What do you do? Oh, you're an ERP consultant? What kind? And I'm building rapport every time they walk around my block. And maybe one day I'll say, hey, how's that resume coming along? And you just have to think of really weird out of the box. But please don't hesitate to reach out. I know this is not the most exciting topic, but for me, it's really passionate for me, and I love it.
Yeah. And one quick thing on you, Trish, is listen when she's talking to the neighbors. I bet she listens if they comment that, yeah, we want to put in a pool, but things are just a little tight right now. And now Trish goes, oh, he's looking for more money.
Yeah, believe it or not, I do. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Trish. We really appreciate it. Feel free to stay around. I know, feel free to also drop your LinkedIn into the chat. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'm going to pass now the virtual mic to Alan, and we were supposed to have a break right now, but Alan had a meeting, so we're switching things up. So then as soon as Alan is done, we're going to take a break because I'm super hungry and I've not grabbed my lunch yet.